The fragrances we're going to be talking about today all have exceptional longevity. So that's one thing that you will never have to worry about with these. Because we've all had, some of our favorite fragrances that smell amazing, but when you spray them on, when you first start your day out, in the back of your mind, you're kind of thinking, that's probably going to wear off soon. That's not really the case with these. You spray them on and you're good. You really don't have to think about it again. We're going to get things kicked off with an elixir scent. This one is a favorite of mine primarily because of what it actually reminds me of. This is Gucci Guilty Elixir. This is a 60 ml bottle. It is a parfum concentration and it's pricey, okay? Luckily here recently it has been popping up for a discounted price, so this isn't something I would rush out and pay retail for when you can get it for less. But even at the discounted price for 60 ml, it's pricey, typically around a low $100 for this, okay, at discounters. It's a lot of money for what you're getting. However, this one does excel in longevity and projection as well, and it reminds me of something much more expensive, and that scent would be Amouage Reflection Man 45 Extrait. That one in particular, not to be confused with the regular Reflection Man, which is great, but this one is closer to the highly concentrated version, which retails for $500. Luckily with that one, it will pop up on discounters as well, although typically sells out quick and it's still a lot of money, but $500 retail. So this does have that white floral smell going on that Reflection Man is known for. It's white floral, but also a bit woody, a little bit powdery, a tiny bit sweet with this and with Reflection Man 45. Giving it that added depth, which you would expect out of, the Extrait version there. And then also, and this part is the key component here, it is a very mature, classy, elegant smell. Nothing about this or Reflection Man smells young or, kind of playful or anything like that. It is really quite the opposite. It's very mature, very refined, high-end and expensive smelling. And that's what this one has as well. And that's why I like it, because Reflection Man 45 is one of my favorites. They're both expensive, but this one is significantly less of a hit to the wallet versus buying Reflection Man 45. And they are quite similar. Great performer. That's why it's in here. But beyond that, everything else about this one is great also. The quality is wonderful. Projection's nice. For what it's worth, it is unique in the sense that it doesn't smell like all of the other fragrances out there these days, where a lot of them smell together. Although, yes, it is taking inspirations from a couple of other scents. This type of smell is not all that common, and so it really will help you to stand out. So this next one is actually an elixir as well. Didn't mean for that to happen, but one thing that we can kind of agree on, or at least is something that's pretty common, is a lot of these elixirs and parfum, absolute flankers and stuff generally are highly concentrated and they're pretty good performers. So as much as we hate to see the trends of all these brands just kind of doing a similar thing, we're getting some really good quality, strong fragrances out of this current trend right now. It's Bad Boy Elixir. This one's got leather, cedarwood, and sage, and I think that's really about all they give you. I really like this, but I also really like Bad Boy Le Parfum as well. Bad Boy Cobalt is really nice. Pretty much any of them except for the original is kind of where I'm at. I'm just not the biggest fan of that one. I find it to be a little bit more boring, whereas at least with a few of these flankers, they're a little bit more exciting. This one in particular, what I like is that leather note. The leather and the cedarwood with some sweetness, of course, although it's not overwhelmingly sweet because there is some balance going on, but it's really well put together. And that leather accord, it's a little bit earthy. Some might even say a tiny bit animalic when it starts to settle down. That's something that gives it a bit of a more unique, different texture here. Great performance, of course, that's why it's in here, more specifically the longevity. You apply this one on in the morning and you're good for the day. Don't have to worry about it. Let's go for something that isn't new and that isn't an elixir, although it is still pretty popular, and this one in particular is great for summer. Bad Boy Elixir, maybe not so much of a summer scent. Guilty Elixir, I guess that could be spring and summer, but I think this one is great for spring and summer, especially Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau Le Parfum. So Still sweet, okay? It's got that pineapple and the tonka bean, which, you know, pineapple's a sweet fruitiness. Of course, tonka bean is a sweet note. Coconut, that's kind of a sweet type of smell also, but yet coconut, pineapple, they're summery. You know, it's almost like a summery pina colada or something on the beach. And so there's kind of a weird balancing act going on where it's kind of smells like summer, but it's also sweet. So if you're really kind of wanting to stay away from something that is really sweet for those really hot days, and this isn't something I'd go for, but your usual summer day where it just isn't completely scorching, this would work. I think it's great for vacation. It just smells like vacation. It's just overall a kind of a happy smelling scent, something that just puts you in a good mood. It just reminds you of the season of summer and late spring and probably even early fall a little bit. Great performance out of this one. It's a Le Parfum, so Eau de Parfum Intense. So not even a true parfum, EDP Intense, but it is still a great, great long-lasting scent with some great projection too. Okay, let's go for something a bit different. This one's kind of out of season as well, but still worth checking out. It is Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense. Basically, this one's all about the patchouli. Okay, patchouli, some vanilla, some tonka, but to double back, it is a patchouli-based scent. I'll just go ahead and say, not for everybody right here. Why? Because the type of patchouli and the way that this one is presented smells a bit more mature in an older smelling way. So, you know, where I was saying Gucci Guilty Elixir, for example, had that kind of mature, refined smell, it does. But this one is even different than that. This is like a more of an old smelling scent, more traditional, I guess you would say. Basically what I'm saying is some people would say that this kind of smells like an old person. Okay, just might as well not beat around the bush. You know, that's kind of how this one will be described, just because of the heavy use of this particular type of patchouli. You're gonna get that vibe. Personally, I don't think it smells like an old person, but I can see where people would think that, given just other characteristics compared to some other scents that have gotten that comparison before. But again, just to say, you know, mature. And that's really what this one's all about. And that's fantastic, especially because these days, they're not releasing things like this. It is just the opposite. We're really in that point where it's just sweet smelling fragrances from these designer brands. And this is something that is not that. And that is probably a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. So if you do want something that is going completely against the grain, Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense is a great option. Great longevity, of course, 12, 14 plus hours. It's gonna stick with you all day long into the evening as well. Let's go for something cheap, you know? You don't always have to spend a lot of money to get something that lasts a long time. Generally, that tends to be the case a lot of the time, but not always. And this is the example of that. It's Rasasi Hawas Ice. Okay, so you guys know I love the original. I think it's fantastic. It's also one that could be in this video too. And you know, it's generally $25 to $30. Same thing for this one. It might actually be a little bit more, maybe 35 or so, just because it is a bit newer. Same thing with Hawas Black, same thing with Hawas Fire. These newer ones are just a little bit more expensive right now, but they're still affordable. This one has lemon, apple, plum. What does it remind me of? Kind of a little bit of that Eau de Parfum DNA. A little bit of that, but then also kind of this sweet bubblegummy smell too, more so than your Eau de Parfum style of scent. And so I find it to be not true to its name. That's always been my contention with the scent, is it's not what I would expect from something labeled ice and even has general ice characteristics in terms of white cap, kind of a bit of a gradient going on here. It just looks like, you know, a bright summer release. And it is technically, but it just isn't as much as I was expecting. You know, I would think, looking at this, I would think of something more like a Dior Homme cologne style of freshness, where this one is definitely not. It doesn't matter though, ultimately it is still a summery scent. It is a great performer, really long lasting, nice projection as well. It's affordable, it's a great compliment puller, and really the main thing is, yeah, it's affordable, which is wonderful. Tumi Continuum is up next. This stuff is wonderful. If you want a unique, high quality, strong performing tobacco scent, this is one that you have to check out, because generally all of those things in a sentence together is not that common. You know, when you take a look at your really strong, long-lasting tobacco scents, typically they're more expensive. Think of your Spice Bomb Extremes and just so many others out there. They're pricey. This one is not pricey. It's typically $50 to $60 and it lasts long, great quality, it's unique. So it kind of checks all of the boxes. But it does have tobacco, it has suede, it has olibanum, and so much more. Pretty extensive note breakdown on this one, which is nice to see. Kind of a red pipe tobacco, you know, and it's not quite to the tamed down designer level as something like Dolce & Gabbana The One. It's a good couple steps above that in terms of being at least a little bit more substantial. Nothing against The One, because that's one of my favorite designer scents ever, but it is so designer level in terms of just not being daring at all. This one at least has a bit more to it where not everybody might like it. You might have a couple people who just aren't the biggest fan, mainly because the tobacco is just a little bit stronger and maybe even a little bit more realistic. But it's a nice blend. That suede kind of leathery undertone works well with everything going on. This stuff is wonderful. Great performer. We'll finish things off with Parfums de Marly Layton Exclusif. This one has Gaiac wood, almond, vanilla, coffee. It's niche Layton. That's the thing about this one that everybody has loved, is that the original Layton, despite being a niche fragrance from a niche brand and niche price, didn't really present itself that way. You know, it's pretty designerish, and I love Layton, but I can see the frustration that people might have spending that amount of money. And so I think Layton Exclusif is the solution to that. I think it is giving the people what they want. If the original was not really challenging enough for you, then I think this one definitely could be, because, man, I don't even have to spray it. You know, just smelling that dry down from pulling the cap, it has a real strong, earthy, smoky, resinous smell to it, kind of animalic also, to use that word again. And it's really pretty exciting and unique stuff. I love coffee. I love coffee fragrances. And so when it's used in a scent and to the point where you can actually pick up on it and it's pretty realistic smelling, I'm all for it. And that's the case here as well. But there's so much more going on too. If you look up the note breakdown on this one, there's a lot. But those are kind of the main ones that I get. It smells wonderful and it is super, super strong. I mean, their original is pretty strong too, but yet this one's even stronger. I think these exclusive flankers from Parfums de Marly, they make a lot of sense and they're well done because of what they're able to provide, just giving you an extra layer or an extra level of uniqueness and blend and just overall challenging factor, so to speak. So great stuff to end the video. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some really long lasting fragrances that just will never leave you hanging. I will link them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.